So yeah, was the course completely shut yesterday for COVID testing and everything?
Apparently the winds were gusting to like 40 miles an hour. So that all the tents were trying not to blow away, and everything in the tents would have blown away. So yeah, it was just, that's all right. I know this course well enough, so it shouldn't affect me too much, yeah.
And I mean, obviously you being from Australia and knowing the type of golfer you are and being defending champion, when you see that the winds are going to gust this week, you must be like, yes.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I enjoy playing in the wind, and yeah, a lot of people don't like it. So I guess it's a bit of a win-win, but I think it just it magnifies bad shots and rewards good shots. I think that's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Being defending champion, and I was listening back to the podcast that we did after you won last year, and was it Harvey that had said to you, Dad, but you hardly hit a fairway? So,
it was. He said, yeah, Dad, your driver wasn't working. It's like, geez, it's a tough crowd.
I know.
It's funny because it's one of the best driving weeks I've had, Thursday through Saturday, and then it just wasn't working Sunday, but that's when you got to have the rest of your game in shape so you can kind of recover from that. And it's about knowing where your misses are going to be too. Around Torrey Pines, South Course, there's places you can miss it and you can get away with it. And there's just places you cannot hit it because you'll make bogeys and doubles all day. So it's about knowing where they are. And I guess I missed it in all the right spots that day.
And you had put a new driver in the bag that week as well, hadn't you? So I guess it was a little bit of tinkering around. Yeah,
it had been probably, I think the first tournament was this Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
So I'd used it a couple of times, drove it well in Hawaii, and then you never really know how a driver's going to go until you get under pressure. Yeah. And it didn't go well that day. It went well enough, but you learn so much from those experiences, and now I know that where the misses are with that driver. I've actually still got the same driver in the bag. Okay. So it's as long as you learn from them, and it's nice when you can learn from a win. A lot of the time when you win, you're playing well, and honestly you don't learn a whole lot apart from just that stuff right under the pump. But when you can learn from your mistakes but still win, I looked at that as a really big positive.
Yeah, amazing. And it was the putter that was working for you amazingly well last year. And you had said before you teed off that you spoke to Matty, your caddy, and you guys just had a feeling that it was going to be a special week on the greens.
Yeah, it's weird. Some days or some weeks the putter feels really good in your hand, and other weeks it feels like a hammer or something. But that was one of those weeks where it felt really good. I had a similar feeling in Malaysia in 2018, and I don't know, it doesn't happen very often when you actually remember a moment during a practice round, but I remember thinking something with my hands, and it just made a big difference. And I had that exact same feeling at Torrey Pines last year, which hopefully I can have again today on the putting green.
That's amazing. And with a course like Torrey Pines, I mean, obviously it's hosting the US Open in June. We know it's a tough course. We know it's super demanding. And as we said, with the weather this week, especially with the rough, it's going to be a lot tougher. But do you enjoy playing the courses of this caliber?
Yeah, I love playing tough golf courses. This changes a lot year to year, depending on the weather. Last year it was quite firm. Not a whole lot of wind, but it turns into an absolute brute when it's like it is outside at the moment. Not too much run. I'm guessing the rough's going to be thick with this rain, and the wind. I mean, there's some holes that on not just the south course but the north course as well. There's some holes. For instance, the third on the north course is a par 3. Some guys will be hitting probably 3-wood in there if the wind stays the same direction it is. 12 is only just reachable as a par 4 if it stays like it is. So it definitely changes a lot, but I love playing the courses where par means something.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play both, but I really enjoy this sort of golf where you're not always shooting at pins and trying to just make par on some holes.
Yeah, because Elk had been texting with Pat Perez and Jason Duffner, and they both said the same thing, that they were excited for a week where the cut wasn't going to be like 4 under. If you can go out and shoot 1 under every day, then you're going to be playing great.
Yeah, exactly. If you can shoot 1 under every day and be, 4 or 5 under at the end of the week, I mean, you're probably not going to win, but you're going to be close to that top 10, I think. So, and particularly if it rains, because, if it rains, it's harder particularly now with the way the drivers are with no grooves on the face. If you get that wet ball with the driver, I mean, it's very hard to control. And this is not a course where you can hit 3 woods off the tee either. So, it's good where it can, you can shoot in the single digits under par and have a chance to win.
The thing about Torrey traditionally is you don't associate it as being a course where you have to find the fairway off every tee. Do you think it's going to be different this week? Do you think that's going to be a lot more important?
I think it's going to be important, particularly if the rough's wet.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, if the greens are soft, you would say that hitting fairways is not going to be overly important, but with how long this place is, you're not going to be able to hit 3 and 4 irons out of the rough.
Yeah.
So that's why it's going to be important. On the dry years when the rough's dry, it's a different story. But I think, it's going to be pretty important.
Okay. Now, you know me, I'm the positive one. I'm not one to dwell on the bad times at all. And especially in golf, you have to have a very short memory for things. But post-COVID, I mean, the comeback to the PGA Tour, your game was in a very different shape to what it had been and to what it is now, which is why we can talk about it and be like, okay, thank goodness. But did you find coming back to the PGA Tour after that such a long break, did you find it difficult?
Yeah, I did. I found it pretty tough. Spending that much time at home, and with the family, it made me probably miss them more when I did go away, particularly because they weren't allowed to travel. My game wasn't where it should have been. And then there was no energy to draw from anywhere. Like the crowd, there was no crowds. I mean, I love playing in front of big crowds. I feel like I play better when I'm a little bit amped up and I won't say nervous, but just, feeling like it really, really means something. And of course all these tournaments do, but I found it hard to get energy and I looked everywhere for it. I was talking to a heap of different people and couldn't come up with anything. And it took me until the Masters to actually draw energy from that place and work out how I did it. And then since then I've been playing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be tough, and I've spoken to so many people that have said the same thing about the crowds. And when you first hear about it, you kind of don't understand not the significance, but just how much energy you do take from having crowds on the course. So hopefully it's going to be something that we are going to be able to work towards. And hopefully when you guys come to Florida, with everything being slightly better over here, maybe they'll start to introduce that a bit more.
Yeah, I hope so, because, I mean, some guys really draw from that and other guys don't handle the crowds as well. So I feel like that's a pretty big advantage for them and I'll say a disadvantage for the guys who do enjoy playing in front of those big crowds and draw from that and, play better when they're around. So, hopefully they can come back and we can get that atmosphere back out here. But, at the end of the day, we're just really lucky to be out here playing. I mean, the tour's done a really good job and it's unfortunate with what's happened, but, it's just, I guess, that cycle of life at the moment. Going through a bad one.
I know. And your relationship with your coach, Dennis McDade, you guys have worked together forever. And it's not like he's with you week after week on tour anyway. But with him being in Australia, I mean, has he been able to travel at all? Or has it been a case of you guys have had to really, FaceTime, Zooms, whatever, for him to watch a video to be able to help you?
Yeah, so it's tough with Dennis at the moment just because when he does come over, he's going to have to quarantine in America for a week or 2 weeks. And then when he goes home, he's going to have to quarantine in a hotel room in Australia for 2 weeks. But he did make that sacrifice and come over about So he came over. He spent about 6 weeks over in the States. He was at the Zozo with me. He was at the Masters with me. And it was just, a really good, just really good to get. He picked it up straight away, what I was doing, and it wasn't anything to do with my golf swing. So, he's been working with me for 20 years. I actually spoke to Alk a little bit about it. That was October, I think. So I got a little bit from that, and just, trying to pick people's brains, because it's hard when you're playing bad golf, and I was playing some really bad golf. You feel like you're never, ever going to play good again. And it's, I'm lucky that I've got the personality that doesn't go through my entire life, but some people it does. So it was a, tough time on the golf course, but I mean, I feel like I'm better for it now, and that's why you celebrate your wins, is because you go through times like that where you feel like you're not going to hit a good shot again, and when you do happen to be successful and hold that trophy up, you've got to celebrate it. So I certainly celebrated Torrey Pines last year, maybe a little too much, but I certainly don't regret it. And hopefully we can be doing that again soon.
Good. Because Elkin said to me, he's like, one of the greatest things about Leish's game is the fact that he just makes everything so simple. So he had said, it was probably where the ball was in his stance, or just something so simple, and Dennis knows you inside out, and he would be able to be like, okay, it's something small, that's it. Yeah, I can't have too much stuff in my head. I'm probably the complete opposite to Alk. Alk thinks about 5 or 6 swing thoughts, and I try and think about nothing. So that was very interesting, but I did learn a lot from Alk when he was down here. Okay, good. And we're talking about the putting. You have a new shaft in your putter. I was reading about that. What kind of spurred that change?
It's Joe from Odyssey just sent me a putter he thought I'd like. I used to use a mid slant neck. So they made a mid slant neck it's on a wide, one wide head, which is a little bit wider than a normal one, but not super wide. So they put that neck into that head, and then the shaft is it's a stroke lab shaft. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's red with a steel tip on it. It looks like the old Biomatrix shaft.
Okay.
It's funny, because I said to Joe Toulon, I'm like, the shaft feels a little bit weaker, and I feel like I've got a bit more feel with it. He's like, yeah, that's interesting, because it's actually, I think it's meant to be a bit stiffer. I'm like, well, that's what I know about feel. It either, to me, when I pick up a club, it either feels good or it doesn't. And it's particularly a putter. I mean, you're not swinging it hard enough to have a whole lot go wrong with the shaft, but it does look cool. It's a good talking point, and it worked at the Sony. Well,
there you go. So you keep it simple, and finishing T4 at the Sony, that's a huge moment, because getting that top 5, that must trigger something in your head to be like, okay, great, we're back on track. And as you say, T13 at the Masters, you love Augusta National, and did you, the thing that I always think about Augusta National, correct me if I'm wrong, but you always play well there. You've got a great history there. And is it the kind of course that just requires you to maybe use a little bit more of your imagination, play some really creative shots?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. It's one of the courses that you go to every year, and you probably have the most practice rounds out of any tournament all year, but you probably don't need any, because you know where you can miss it and you know where you can't miss it. It's just, you have to be really precise. You can use, if you know where the slopes are, you can use those slopes to get to certain pins, and basically take the risk out of the shot. But if you haven't played there very much, you don't know exactly where those slopes are, what direction they're feeding into, and I just enjoy that about it. It's you have to be a good iron player. You got to have a good imagination, particularly with the putter. Okay. There's a lot of shaping shots. I enjoy doing that, and it was. I enjoy going there every year, and the Sony last year was a couple of weeks ago was really good too. Just to get back under the pump and have to hit good shots that actually mean something. I haven't hit a shot that meant something really in in 6-8 months. So to do that, and I thought I had to make eagle on 18. To hit that shot I hit into the 18th was pretty satisfying. It was a pretty weak putt, but would have been nice if we could have got that to the hole. But yeah, it was a good week. Just nice to get the competitive juices flowing again.
For sure. And it's great timing, as you say, to see the turnaround in the form and then to be back at a tournament that you won last year. This is such a big tournament. It's such a great golf course, and even more so because we're thinking of the US Open for June. So it's going to be a nice little run around this week. Just to finish up, what was the secret to winning last year then? How would you sum up the secret to winning around Torrey Pines?
Making putts. I mean, I showed on Sunday you don't have to drive it amazingly around here to shoot a good score. But the greens can get in your head. They can be a little bit bumpy, particularly you notice the bumps when you've got a 3 or 4 footer. If you can be hitting really good putts from, I'll say inside 8 feet, they're not going to bump far enough to miss. So I think putting, but everything's got to be pretty good around Torrey Pines, I think, to win. You're going to make some bogeys. Your head's got to be in a good spot also.
Okay, great. Right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you and Matty have another great week this week. And, it's brilliant. How we're such big fans of yours anyway. And to see the turnaround in form is so exciting. And just to hear the positive attitude and to be back at a place where you're defending, it's all coming together at the right time.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this week, and hopefully the weather stays somewhat decent and we can get a good tournament in.
Oh, good. Right, well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it as always.
No worries. Yeah, no problem at all.